From our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Peter Murphy begins now.
Good evening. First tonight, a bombshell move from the state government. Plans to lease the new Spirit ferry have been scrapped. Instead, it's setting sail home to Tasmania. The surprise announcement leaving more questions than answers. It's still unclear when it will arrive or where it will dock.
The Deputy Premier launching a ship-sized surprise.
State government has instructed TT Line to cease leasing negotiations forthwith and to commence the relocation of Spirit 4 to Tasmania.
Guy Barnett letting slip the government is abandoning plans to lease Spirit 4, instead ordering it to set sail for home. But that's where his loose lips stopped.
You will have to ask Minister Abetz.
An apparent early reveal forcing the Transport Minister to rush out a media release, not fronting the cameras for such a major announcement.
Many Tasmanians have lost faith in this government over this particular issue.
The new ship has been berthed in Scotland since December, giving the government time to explore leasing options. On Friday, a deadline day for an update, it provided no clarity. Just yesterday, the Scottish government denied it was in talks to use the Spirit to house Ukrainian refugees. Now today, the shock about face.
The Liberal government had to spend millions of dollars of taxpayers' money to try and save face. They're finally coming home, which is the right decision. It's the decision they should have made from the start.
The government says it did all it could and acted in the best interest of Tasmanian taxpayers, blaming Labor for a negative Spirit Spear campaign.
I won't apologise for holding them to account. If Minister Abetz and other ministers don't like being held to account, they should be better at their jobs.
It still remains unclear when the ship will sail into Tasmania or where it will go. A new berth in Devonport won't be ready until 2027 and current infrastructure isn't up to scratch.
How do you spend $1 billion on 2 new ferries and forget to build the port infrastructure necessary for their service?
Victoria East 07 Tasmania News.
Hundreds of Tasmania's public service jobs could be slashed in a controversial new plan to save the state's coffers. The Deputy Premier light on details of a hiring freeze today, but insistent that frontline jobs are safe.
Continuously scrutinised for the way it handles its finances, the government now says it's got a solution.
This is a freeze on hiring or recruitment of people to non-essential services within the state service. There'll be no forced redundancies.
But the Deputy Premier unable to say just how many of Tasmania's currently 36,000 public service positions could be lost, promising details would come when the state budget does on May 29.
This is about getting an effective and efficient public service to deliver what we do need in Tasmania.
It's promised no cuts to the number of fireys, nurses, doctors, teachers or police. But there are concerns frontline workers can't operate without backline ones. Agency heads will be the ones making the tough call.
We know that job cuts in the public service do impact frontline service delivery.
The state government thrown another curveball with Parliament set to return next week. Independent Christy Johnston confirming the party no longer has her support after it abandoned a review of the Integrity Commission. That move surprisingly drawing criticism from the opposition bench.
We can use the Parliament to scrutinise the government. You don't have to blow the government up and throw the toys out of the cot every time you don't get your own way.
Ruby Cairns, 7 Tasmania News.
A Tasmanian farmers market has been recognised for its authenticity and fine produce. Hobart's Farmgate Market shining on the big stage, taking out a top 10 spot in Lonely Planet's Best in the World for 2025.
It may be a small, bustling street for the Farmgate Market, but it's certainly putting Tasmania on the map. Named one of the top 10 best markets in the world by the travel guide Lonely Planet.
I was speechless, and that doesn't happen very often. To be named in the top 10 best markets in the world is something that I never dreamed of when I started the market.
Sprouting from a humble beginning in 2009 with just 12 local producers, it has ripened into something much bigger.
We work with about 200 producers across the 4 seasons.
Showcasing some of of Tassie's best produce with a strong focus on the paddock in Paddock to Plate.
Buy some wonderful produce and some of the best produce in the world and speak to those producers and make that connection.
You can't eat it, drink it, grow it. You can't sell it. The producer must sell it and everything must be produced within the geographical boundaries of Tasmania.
A produce gem helping the apple aisle live up to its name.
Our apple pies, yeah, absolutely. We have people come back week after week.
It's become a weekend ritual for many locals and for visiting tourists.
We see about 5,000 to 6,000 customers through every Sunday.
The popular Sunday market not feeling overshadowed by its better-known cousin in Salamanca, saying it's focused on quality over quantity.
Being that this is producers only, food only, yeah, it's very different.
Rebecca Gaitanera, 7 Tasmania News.
Federal Labor is promising more access to bulk billed Medicare services, and it's Tasmanians who could be big beneficiaries. 3 new Medicare urgent clinics have been promised from north to south.
Another dose of election promises. Federal Labor pledging 3 new Medicare urgent clinics for Tasmania.
This is a smart way to deliver better health care for Tasmanians in our regional areas.
Sorrel, Kingston and Burnie are set to benefit, bringing Tasmania's total urgent clinics to 8, the most per capita in the country.
Tasmania is the biggest winner out of Labor's urgent care clinics nationwide.
Aiming to be the perfect remedy to ease pressure on our hospitals and free up resources by redirecting semi-urgent or non-urgent patients.
Knowing that you can go to a health professional locally without having to travel into the city and clog up the emergency department, potentially waiting hours, is going to make a massive difference.
As well as meet a growing demand.
We have 2 GP services here in Sorrel and they're both oversubscribed. Population is rapidly growing. We have a large new subdivision.
But with GP clinics closing and staff shortages continuing to riddle the Tasmanian health sector, there's concern urgent care clinics may be a band-aid solution. The Royal Australian College of GPs saying the funding should be injected into expanding existing after-hours GP services and staff in the regions, gaining a nod from state Labor.
I do think GP services more often would be beneficial.
Federal Labor is adamant last week's $8.5 billion Medicare expansion will help build a clinician pipeline.
That includes $800 million for training the workforce, because we know we need more health professionals.
Rebecca Gaitanera, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmanians have joined 800,000 volunteers in Clean Up Australia Day events around the country. Rokeby, one of 8,000 spots where locals gathered to clear rubbish and debris from the environment, helping keep the landscape and our waterways clean. The day is the largest community-based environmental event in the country, now in its 35th year. Pint-sized motoring enthusiasts had the need for speed this morning, dozens jumping at an offer for a hot lap as part of Cars for Kids' 20th anniversary. The popular event gives disadvantaged children and those living with a disability a chance to not just see the cars but have a ride in them as well. They promised a record-breaking drive and they provided just that. More than 200 vehicles formed an impressive convoy for the 42nd Longford Truck Run, making it the biggest motorcade to date. Organisers are still working out the final tally for the annual ride, which raises vital funds for the Royal Flying Doctor Service. Cruz Hewitt has fallen agonisingly short of his first career title, losing the Launceston International final in straight sets today. The young gun humble in defeat as Jason Kubler rounds out a perfect summer in the north, clinching back-to-back trophies.
History repeating wasn't meant to be. Cruz started strong, winning the first 2 games.
Come on!
Before fellow Aussie Jason Kubler clinched a 6-2, 6-4 victory, backing up his title in Burnie last week.
Happy with how everything went, and yeah, time to rest and recover a little bit now.
While young Hewitt wasn't able to follow in his dad's footsteps today.
A learning experience, try and learn from the mistakes and then keep getting better every day.
He did win over an electric Launceston crowd, the final breaking tournament records.
It's like an Australian Open crowd. I feel like all the support this week I really appreciate. It got me through a lot of tough matches.
Not to outshine his son, Dad Leighton's at courtside.
Thanks to my dad for coming down.
Ever the legend, his attendance did cause quite the stir, even for the title winner.
Leighton, thanks for coming out today. Grew up watching you, so any time I can play a match in front of you, even if it is against your son Cruz, yeah, it's special for me.
The women's final also a two-set showdown. Aussie Lizette Cabrera backing up a strong week with a gutsy 7-5, 6-2 win.
The first set was really close, going back and forth, and I was able to just kind of get over the line towards the end of the set. But yeah, the scoreline didn't really show how tough the match was.
As a frequent Tassie visitor, it's a trophy with meaning.
To be the last person standing is always so special, and yeah, hopefully to many more this year.
Victoria Riso, 7 Tasmania News.
A visit back home was the key ingredient for Norwood Football Club men's A team. They were packed with Tassie flavour. They dominated this afternoon's Senior Talent Academy rep clash against the Tasmanian Devils, winning 106-45. Apple Islander Ollie Sanders proving vital in the third term, extending the Redlegs' lead to more than 40 points.
Here's another goal, and this time it's Ollie Sanders who hits the target.
In the women's, the Tassie Devils prove they are VFLW material, taking out a 3-point victory. Lucy Thompson helping the Devils get over the line, booting this goal before the final siren.
Here's Thompson, the goal kicker. Can she paddle it and gain control? She can. In on the open goal.
Today's match was the first of 5 games for this year.
Good evening. Hobart reached 20 degrees today, 24 the state's high in Launceston and also friendly beaches. Devonport and Burnie both 22. Across the Apple Isle today, Flinders Island, Smithton, Low Head and St Helens all 21. King Island and Bushy Park 20. 19 on Marai Island, Grove 18 and 17 degrees at Strawn. Patchy low cloud was experienced about the west, south and northeast today, but it was mostly sunny elsewhere. Tropical cyclone Alfred remains stationary over the southern Coral Sea. Small amounts of mid to high clouds sit over eastern parts of the eastern seaboard. Tomorrow, a high develops over Tasmania and southwestern Victoria as a trough runs from the Pilbara to southern Queensland and through central parts of New South Wales. Variable winds 5 to 15 knots about the central west and lower east and up to 20 knots elsewhere. West to southwesterly swells building to 5 metres. A partly cloudy day in Hobart tomorrow, 21, much the same at Dover, 22. Cloudy at Ooze with 24 degrees. Launceston also cloudy with 24, 21 and a shower or 2 at Devonport. A possible shower also for Scottsdale with 22, the maximum. Partly cloudy conditions extend to the west tomorrow, 21 the top in Burnie, Strawn 19, Stanley aiming for 22. Maybe a shower in St Helens, 21, Swansea cloudy 22 and one up at Ross with 23 expected there. Forecast for Tuesday, patchy fog about the north at first, followed by showers, but fine elsewhere. Wednesday, a fine day, except for some showers developing about the south in the afternoon. And on Thursday, we can look forward to a fine but partly cloudy day across the state. If you're travelling interstate tomorrow, here is the national forecast for Monday. 28 and partly cloudy in Perth, fine and sunny in Adelaide, 30 the high there. Showery across Brisbane and Sydney, cloud is expected to clear in Melbourne. It's a sunny evening across the state right now. Hobart 16, 21 at Launceston and 20 at Devonport. Now Murph, the first AI news anchor appeared in China in 2018, but we never thought it would become a threat to your famous one-liners until tonight. What on earth is the world coming to?
Not sure, Kai, but I know my intelligence is definitely artificial. Well, that's all our news for now. I'll be back later. Thanks for joining us this evening. Good night.